How do you know when to just listen and not speak?
It's practice. It's practice. You get better at sensing what's useful through practice. What I'd suggest is try listening without speaking. And then when finally somebody goes, "What the hell are you doing?"
Right.
Speak to me, then go, "Oh, okay, I'll try this out." So it's like experiment. Try it out. Here's what's wonderful about this. If it all goes horribly wrong, it doesn't actually go that horribly wrong. I mean, what normally if you've asked a coaching question and it doesn't work, mostly people kind of go, "What? I don't get what you're asking me."
Hmm.
And you're like, "Oh yeah, terrible question. Let me ask you a different one." If they're listening, if you're listening and you're listening, and they're like, Michael, I appreciate how intently you're listening, but I could really do with the guidance here. You're like, "Oh,
Hmm.
okay. Let me give you some guidance."
Yeah, part of that seeking advice on the part of the coachee, for lack of better terms, I think it's a ritual or a structure that people want, and
Yeah,
so they think, well, I should be asking for advice here, even though they don't really want it. If you
I've
were
got
to
a I've got
probe
a
a bit further.
script that I can share with people, which is when somebody comes to me and goes, "Hey, Michael, how do I?"
Hmm.
As soon as I say, "How do I?" it gets my advice monster going. In the book, we talk about these three advice monsters: tell it, save it, and control it. We've kind of hinted at them in the previous conversation. And there's nothing like a, "Hey, Michael, how do I?" question to get my advice monster coming up going, "Oh, this is awesome." They've literally asked you for advice. You kind of have to give it to them. So here's my script, and people can use this word for word. I go, "Hey, Jim, that's a great question. And you know what? I've got some ideas, which I will definitely share with you. But before I give you my ideas, I bet you've got some initial thoughts on how to tackle this. So I'm just curious, what's your first idea on how you tackle this?"
Hmm.
And then, kind of like we have done before, I'd nod my head and I'd look interested. I go, "That's great. What else could you do?" "Right. Yeah, cool. What else could you do? These are great, Jim. I'm really liking these. What else could you do?" "Fantastic. Jim, these are brilliant. I've got one additional thought that might be helpful. Let me tell you what that is." So I've got a script which is a principle. I'm going to help them. I don't want them to leave feeling that I've not got their back. Secondly, they probably have some of the answers. May not have the best answer, may not have all the answers, but I have some of them. Thirdly, I'll get what's already in their head, and then I'll add my value if that's the useful thing to do.